Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Listening Club. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack.
Today, we're talking about a very real question. Why do we overthink at night?
Yes. I think many people know this feeling. The day is over, the room is quiet, and suddenly the mind starts to talk. A lot.
That's so true. Maybe you are lying in bed, and then you start thinking about something small. A message you sent, a mistake you made, a conversation from 3 days ago.
Or a conversation from 3 years ago.
Exactly. And somehow at night, everything can feel bigger.
So in this episode, we'll talk about why overthinking often happens at night, why the mind feels louder, and what we can do to feel a little more calm.
And as always, we'll use simple, natural English so you can relax and listen step by step.
Let's begin.
First, let's talk about what overthinking really is. For me, overthinking means thinking about the same thing again and again, but not really finding peace.
Yes, it's not just thinking, it's thinking in circles. You ask yourself the same question many times, but the answer still does not feel clear.
And often, overthinking is not helpful thinking. It does not solve the problem. It just makes us feel more tired, more worried, or more stressed.
Right. Sometimes the mind says, let's fix this problem. But after 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour, we are still in the same place.
And night seems to be the perfect time for this to happen. But why?
I think one big reason is very simple. Night is quiet.
Yes, during the day, we have many things around us. Work, study, people, messages, noise, plans, movement. Our attention goes everywhere.
But at night, many of those things stop. The world gets slower. There is less sound, less movement, and less outside information.
And when the outside gets quiet, the inside gets louder.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
Thank you. But I think it's true. In the daytime, we may not notice every feeling. At night, we notice more.
I also think that at night, we finally have space to feel things we pushed away during the day.
What do you mean by that?
Well, maybe during the day you are busy. You have classes, work, family things, or just many small tasks. You don't have time to sit with your feelings.
So the feelings wait.
Yes, they wait until the day is quiet. Then they come back and say, "Hi, remember me?"
That feels very real.
A little too real.
So maybe overthinking at night is not only about thoughts. Maybe it is also about feelings. Stress, fear, regret, loneliness, pressure.
I think so too. Sometimes the mind is trying to protect us. It wants to prepare for problems. It wants to keep us safe, but it does it in a very noisy way.
Yes, the mind says, think more and maybe nothing bad will happen. But of course, that doesn't always work.
And this is important to remember. Overthinking does not mean there is something wrong with you. It means your mind is active and maybe a little tired, a little stressed, or a little full.
Another reason night is hard is that we are often more emotional when we are tired.
That makes a lot of sense. When the body is tired, the mind is not at its strongest.
Yes, in the morning, a problem may feel small. At night, the same problem can feel huge.
A simple message can feel serious. A small mistake can feel terrible. An unfinished task can feel like a big failure.
And the strange thing is, the problem itself did not change, but our energy changed.
Exactly. When we are tired, we have less mental space. We are not as balanced. We are not as calm. So our thoughts can become darker or heavier.
I think many listeners will understand this. Sometimes at night we think, my life is a mess. But the next morning after sleep we think, oh, actually it's okay.
Yes, night thoughts and morning thoughts can feel like two different people.
Very different people.
So one simple truth is this. Sometimes we are not seeing life clearly at night. We are seeing life through tired eyes and a tired mind.
Let's talk about something else, too. Unfinished things.
Ah, yes, the famous unfinished task.
We all know it. Maybe you forgot to reply to someone. Maybe you didn't finish your work. Maybe you wanted to study, exercise, clean your room, or start a new habit, but you didn't.
Then night comes, and all those unfinished things start to visit your mind.
It's like the brain says, "Excuse me, we need to talk about these 10 things."
And always at the worst time.
I think unfinished tasks are powerful because they feel open. They are not complete, and the brain does not always like open things.
Yes, the brain likes closure. It likes the feeling of done. When something is unfinished, the brain keeps it active.
So if you are trying to sleep, but your mind is still holding a list of open tasks, that can easily become overthinking.
Which is why some people feel better when they write things down before bed.
Yes, a simple notebook can help a lot, not because it solves everything, but because it tells the brain, you don't need to hold all of this tonight.
We should also talk about phones.
Yes, we should. Our little glowing problem.
Exactly.
Many people use their phones at night to relax, and honestly, I understand that. After a long day, people want something easy.
Me too. It feels simple, just a few minutes of videos, messages, or scrolling.
But sometimes those few minutes turn into 40 minutes or an hour.
And during that time, the brain is getting more information, more images, more emotion, more comparison, more noise.
Yes, you may see bad news, someone else's perfect life, a stressful email, or just too much stimulation.
Then you turn off the phone, and the room becomes quiet again. But your brain is still very awake.
That is such an important point. The phone may look like rest, but sometimes it is not real rest.
Real rest is quiet. It gives the mind less to carry. But scrolling often gives the mind more to carry.
So then we lie down, close our eyes, and the brain says, "Okay, now let's think about everything. Let's make this more personal." Jack, do you ever overthink at night?
Oh, absolutely. Not every night, but yes. Sometimes I think about work things. Sometimes I think about whether I said the wrong thing to someone.
What kind of thoughts usually come?
Often very small things. That's the funny part. It's not always a big life problem. Sometimes it's just, should I have answered that message differently? Or why didn't I finish that one task?
Yes, small thoughts can become very loud at night.
And sometimes I imagine future problems too. Things that have not even happened.
I do that too. The mind can become a movie maker at night.
Yes, and usually not a happy movie.
True.
But I've learned that when I notice I'm overthinking, it helps to say, this is night thinking. I do not need to solve everything right now.
I really like that. This is night thinking. It creates a little distance.
Yes, it reminds me that I am tired, and tired thoughts are not always true thoughts.
That brings us to something important. What can we do when overthinking comes at night?
Let's keep it simple. We don't need a perfect answer, just a few gentle ideas.
First, I think it helps to notice what is happening. Instead of fighting the thoughts right away, just name it.
Like saying, I am overthinking right now, or my mind is busy tonight.
Yes, that sounds small, but it helps. Because once you notice it, you are not completely inside it anymore.
Second, write things down. If your mind keeps repeating tasks, worries, or ideas, put them on paper.
A very simple list is enough. You can write tomorrow, then add 3 or 4 things. That tells your brain the thoughts are safe somewhere else.
Third, be careful with screens before sleep.
You don't need to be perfect, but even a small change can help. Maybe less scrolling. Maybe no stressful content late at night.
Maybe 10 quiet minutes before sleep. No phone, no big decisions, no deep life questions.
Yes, no deep life questions at 11:45 p.m.
That's a good rule.
Another helpful thing is to come back to the body.
What do you mean?
When the mind is racing, the body can help us return to the present. For example, slow breathing, feeling the pillow, feeling the blanket, listening to the quiet sound in the room.
That's good. Very simple, very physical.
Yes, overthinking pulls us into the future and the past. The body brings us back to now.
I also think it helps to be kind to yourself. Some people get angry because they cannot sleep. Then they become stressed about being stressed.
Yes, that second layer makes everything harder.
So maybe instead of saying, "Why am I like this?" we can say, "Okay, tonight is a busy mind night. Let me take care of myself."
That sounds much gentler.
And often, gentleness works better than pressure.
Do you think overthinking at night can ever teach us something?
Yes, sometimes. Not every thought is useless. Sometimes repeated thoughts show us that something needs attention.
Like what?
Maybe you are too stressed. Maybe you need rest. Maybe there is an important conversation you are avoiding. Maybe your schedule is too full. Maybe your heart is trying to say, "Please slow down."
I like that idea. Sometimes the mind is noisy because life has been too noisy.
Exactly. So we don't need to hate the mind. We just need to understand it better.
That feels very comforting. Overthinking is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is a signal. But we still need to meet that signal in a healthy way.
Yes, listen to it a little, learn from it, but don't let it take over the whole night.
Before we finish, let's give our listeners one simple idea to remember.
Mine is this: not every night thought is a true thought.
That is so good.
If you are tired, stressed, and lying in the dark, your thoughts may sound stronger than they really are. So don't believe every thought immediately.
My simple idea is this: a busy mind needs care, not punishment.
I love that.
If your mind is loud at night, maybe it needs rest, quiet, paper, breathing, or kindness, not more pressure.
Yes, that is a much better way to meet yourself at the end of the day.
So today's idea is simple. We often overthink at night because the world gets quiet, our feelings become louder, our body is tired, and unfinished thoughts come back to us.
And phones, stress, and daily pressure can make the mind even more active.
But there are gentle ways to help. Notice the overthinking, write things down, reduce screen time, come back to the body, and speak to yourself kindly.
You do not need to solve your whole life before sleep.
No, you really don't.
Tomorrow is allowed to help.
Thanks for listening to English Listening Club.
We hope this episode helped you relax and learn some useful English.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who is also learning English.
And maybe with a friend who overthinks at night.
Yes, maybe especially that friend.
Take care, everyone.
Sleep well, be kind to yourself, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.